Ah, nice to be back. And I actually am starting after the hiatus that was forced upon me by outrageous fortune. Um, I'll actually start speaking English, or my version of English, because, again, so much has happened, and there are so many things that are somewhat important. And I'm not saying anything about today's headlines or last week's headlines or the world, because again, there are a few very important things, of which one needs to get one's say, and I'll try and get to my normal rhythm at some later date. So, three very, very, very important things. First, of course, sexual harassment. Or perhaps not, of course. There are quite huge, very, very big things to talk about. But let's start with sexual harassment. And again, let's remind everyone that when we talk about sexual harassment, it's just, again, in our Western world. Probably in most of the world, sexual harassment is a way of life. And in several countries, it's the law. And sexual crimes perpetrated by men over their harems, it's the law. So anyway, in our Western world, firstly, of course, one is very sorry to all the people who are victims of sexual harassment. And again, one would hope, but this is not the time, but one would hope that what you might call small and innocent stupidity wouldn't be, called sexual harassment and somebody's nuts cut off because they do that or have done once or twice. Yeah, one would hope for not overreaction, but that's always in our Western society run by the, United States media and its melodramatic attitude. That is always too much to ask. You usually always in the Western world you have something, something like the bloody Weinstein company happening. You have rampant sexual criminality and nobody does anything about it. And then when the opportunity comes, everybody overreacts and wants to, decapitate anybody who's ever done any stupid thing while they're drunk. From one, overreaction, which is doing absolutely nothing and like it doesn't exist, to the other, where, human sexuality is not understood at all. Anyway, so, one is sorry for all the people who are victims of actual sexual harassment and especially, of course, sexual abuse. And, of course, one is sorry for all the people who are now gonna get killed who really haven't done all that much. You can, F up once in your life while you're drunk. And again, as a militant atheist, I have to point out that most of the clever things that, holy books say are, are something that they've been stolen from, smart philosophical works. So the idea of, whoever has not sinned, let him cast the first stone. It's not a religious idea originally. It's actually, a philosophical idea. So if you have never done anything wrong, then please wanna tear somebody else's except Harvey Weinstein's, entrails out. So anyway, But what I actually want to say is it's exactly the same thing as with terrorism. What all the progressive people have been saying is that you have to stop the wars. You have to stop destroying certain group of people's lives for the longest time. People, Islamic people in the Middle East. You have to stop destroying their lives so that the present way of terrorism would stop one day. So you need to stop the wars. So in the same way, I mean, it's very nice that at the moment, everybody's, you have Me Too, and everybody's very mad about sexual harassment and wants it to end, and you have these, anything from justice to witch hunts. Fine. What is that going to change? Again, it is exactly like with terrorism. You have to have some sort of a vision. How is this going to change? It is not going to change by, enormous penalties for sexual abusers and sexual harassers. Sexuality is too strong for that. Big gains, big losses. And overall, since there is a two-tiered justice system in the entire Western world, where rich people, they have a justice system all their own, it's not a sustainable idea. So what are you going to do to actually change sexual harassment and sexual abuse so that it would actually end? Again, I'm just shouting at the wind. It's totally useless. Nobody's ever going to, they shouldn't ever see this. And so nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to happen. Everybody's just going to be more unhappy. But I'm still going to say this. What you will need is sexual education for males. And we are in a position where one can argue with most women that you meet. You have to argue until you can argue until you're blue in the face, but it's not going to be of any use. That the male sexual drive is about 10,000 times stronger than the female one, and they just, anything you can do, I can do better. They just don't believe it. So we're in a place where facts are not yet even established and agreed upon. But what you would need would be sexual education. When in puberty, early teenage, males would need comprehensive sexual education and empathy education. They would need support. They would need a support system. They would need a lot of support for their incredible sexuality. Again, most boys, they're not really interested. I was, but I'm a bit different. Most boys are not really interested in girls at all. Then they hit puberty, and suddenly girls and sex are the most important thing in the world. I mean, is that culture? No, that is biology. So we're talking about biological forces here. And somebody like Dr. Phil may be quite right that, with, for example, Hollywood moguls, it's about power. Yeah, fine. But first, before power, it is about sexuality. And most importantly, by a long mile, it's about male sexuality. So that's the first thing. If you want to stop sexual extravagance, you need proper sexual education, support, contacts, networks, everything for young boys when at school, when in teenage, when in puberty. I'm sorry, that's just a fact. It's as simple as that. Secondly, what you need is for the 1,000 and billionth time, and after centuries and millennia, you would finally need sex to be made less of a taboo, because the next thing after the fact that it actually all this abuse and harassment exists because males are they have no control over their sexuality, and it's not their fault. It's the society's fault for not doing anything about their sexuality when it is awakened. The next problem is nobody talking about it. People being somehow embarrassed when they are abused or harassed and so on, and having all sorts of feelings of guilt and embarrassment and so on. Actually, that's all about, the basis of that is in the fact that sex is a taboo and a speciality of some sort. And so we need finally to get rid of that. It would be so incredibly important if you would get rid of sex as a taboo, which it should not be, as a feeling in almost every human being. Then you would have more immediate discussion when something happens. So anyway, I know this isn't going to do anything, it's not going to help anyone, but I just want to have it said. Then, two other important things, again, which is most important, I don't know. Nuclear war, North Korea, oh bloody. Again, if you would actually have one country that should have been, should be continuously under huge, economic sanctions for what they have done, are doing, and will do, it's of course the United Bloody States of America. I don't believe it personally. Again, as an ordinary human being, average citizen, I started making a lot of. I tried to find out everything I could about North Korea now when the threat first appeared during the last year. And what I'm able to find out is that absolutely everybody is happy with North Korea existing. North Koreans themselves, the populace, of course, are the ones who are suffering the most. But then if you read what all the other countries have done to them, China, South Korea, and especially the United States of America, the fact that they almost like prefer a military dictatorship to be being completely annihilated by a foreign nation, you almost sympathize a little. And it's an awful thing to sympathize, isn't it? But then after that, China actually wants North Korea to be there. Most South Koreans, apart from, few generals and some businessmen who want to get to the, natural resources of North Korea, actually, South Korea wants North Korea to exist. And certainly all the money people, all the, the actual grey eminences behind the Western world and the United States, actually want North Korea to be there. So, the idea of any sort of a war, preemptive war against North Korea, and war against North Korea by, of course, the United States of America, is completely insane. Nobody wants it. Or hardly anyone wants it. So it originally didn't seem, and actually more you learn, the more it seems like a non-starter, if you can use such an expression. And again, for what is going on in the grapevine, what the crazy Donny Lutherface, what his people are telling their friends and so on, it really does seem that that there is an actual danger of the United States going to a preemptive war against what is People's Republic of North Korea? I'm not certain actually. I'm sorry, I'm not quite. PRNK. It's possible. And again, it's completely insane. It's gonna, the death toll is going to be something never seen before, and or where we had 2 world wars, but I mean, something still incredibly potent, and it's completely useless. And again, hardly anyone wants it. And there is no sane reason for it. And one can only speculate. And I mean, if it's, for example, this sad missing link lunatic Donny Lutherface, Tiny Hands, if it's just him pandering his base, making himself more popular with that, unmovable group of complete lunatics who are his diehard supporters. Well, again, it's unbelievable. But again, there is no sane reason ever, in any way, in any sort of a war against North Korea by anyone, but especially the United States of America. And yet, truly, it does seem possible, which is unbelievable. So that was the second thing one had to say. It makes absolutely no sense, but it is possible. Oh boy. And the third one, slightly less important actually, but one has to say it because, again, totally and utterly what happened, and this is what I've learned when I started, studying the world. What happens in the United States affects the entire Western world, and and the method and tactics and everything that it is copied to the rest of the Western world sooner or later. And pretty much, it's everything that happens is started either in the United States or in Great Britain or in Germany. It's like the Western world only has these 3 countries, and everything that happens, every idea in the Western world, every dangerous idea comes from one of these places. So anyway, it's of course this Russiagate. Oh dear. And now the indictment of Manafort and Papadopoulos, and again, and the media reaction to that, and now, and what is actually going on. So I mean, again, it just has to be said that like so many other things, nothing has really happened yet. Okay, it's an indisputable fact that what they have, accused Manafort for, what they have on him so far is something that almost every lobby, every operative in Washington has, almost all of them are economic criminals of first water. So I mean, that's hardly anything. And again, Papadopoulos, so far what they have on him is again is nothing. It's like, you know, just simply being sort of being uncooperative. And so far there's absolutely nothing. And again, most people, I guess, are in agreement that they're trying to break Manafort, trying to make him actually, you know, spill the beans, whatever the phrase you want to use. It's very interesting. You have very many phrases for rather unfortunate things. Interesting. So anyway, so it quite literally is again a U.S. phrase. I think what a big pie of nothing. It really is. So the press reaction is again totally overblown. And why wouldn't it be? Again, the US media, which is something that now the whole Western media is copying. It's all becoming the same thing, trying to do. But what the US media for the longest time has been, it's simply an entertainment center. It tries to make as much about every useless thing in the world. It's trying to make everything a big drama, life a big show, so that people are entertained and they don't really concentrate on, on thought. So it's no wonder. But the fact remains that so far it's a big fat pie of nothing. And again, it may become something else, but so far nothing there, absolutely nothing. But the second thing, and again, this is so obvious, and it's so ridiculous, because again, both the Donny Luferface campaign and the Hillary Clinton campaign, they broke the only election rule still left. They openly communicated between the campaign and their super PAC. Both of them should have been disqualified, and Bernie would have been president. It isn't, again, if you follow the law, it isn't all that difficult. Life isn't so difficult. But again, in the United States, they haven't followed their laws for the longest time. And again, many parts of the Constitution were absolutely abandoned during the George W. Bush period, and Obama did not bring Constitution back. And it's amazing that in the Western world, you still have to argue continuously with people who try to suggest that Barack Obama would be anything but a corrupt war criminal. He's not as bad as George W. Bush or even Bill Clinton. But he is very bad. He's not good. For goodness sake. So anyway, what is, again, is totally and absolutely certain is that Donny Luferface is a giant economic criminal. Is that the right word? In Finnish, it's economic criminal. I'm not certain. But anyway, he is a criminal, and if financial criminal, and if Manafort, if the investigation, if it concentrates on finances and economy, Donny Luferface is gonna be brought down, because he just, and again, most people should know this, and it is not very, very, very well hidden. He is a financial crook, and he's been a swindler for his entire lifetime. He is an actual criminal. So of course, if special prosecution is going to go there, of course, Donny Luferface is sooner or later he is going to be tried, and he's going to jail, and there's no question about it. And that's why he is nervous, because he is a criminal and he knows it. But Russia is rather, it is not immaterial because Donny Luferface has been laundering also Russian money. So Russia is part of it, but I guess no greater part than, for example, China. But so there is you might say that there's a reason for Mueller's investigation, and it's going to, if it goes to the right direction, he's going to find something, and Donny Luferface is going to jail where he belongs. But it's not a Russiagate. And of course one has to agree with all the sane people in the world who are absolutely and utterly fed up with everything being a gate. And I mean, gates, they were originally, and before Bill Gates, gates originally, they were very important things. I mean, if you had if it was well protected, your town or your village was safe. I mean, gates were important things originally. Anyway, so that was the third thing, that the Russia part of all this so far is totally immaterial. But if Mueller is going to move to economics and financial matters, Donny Luferface is going down. It's as simple as that. Again, things are rather simple, always. But that was the thing needed to be said about this latest bit of entertainment in the United States, that the method of which is being copied to the rest of the Western world as I'm speaking. So anyway, I'm gonna try and get to some sort of normal rhythm sooner or later here, but these few bigger things I needed to get off my considerable chest. All the best, and so forth.